We'll open the ark. It will stay open for the next hour and 14 minutes. Thank you, Artie. It's not a contest. If you feel faint, if you don't feel well, you can sit. We believe that God understands. Know that your presence is what is required in this moment. As has become our tradition, we will hold a talit in front of the ark, and we can form a line, and for those who would like to, you're welcome to come forward and to spend a few moments in front of the ark at this sacred hour. Please keep in mind the people behind you, so just make it a few moments. And this is a ne'ilah of ne'ilahs, because it is the final time that our synagogue will be in this configuration during the ne'ilah service and for the hakafah. At the end, we will have a hakafah, and all the members of the Chevra Kadisha are invited to join us as the Torahs go around, and also the children to come forward and to help us to close the ark, to close the gates. The children help to open it, and they can help us to close them. But for this ne'ilah of ne'ilahs, I want to invite Rabbi Sager to offer a few words. His memory of this moment goes back many years.
When we fill this place, it's extraordinary. There's something about it. There's a kind of resonance. Perhaps it comes with a patina that's added by years. Sounds reverberating off of walls. People looking, finding their favorite place in this place. Finding a place to sit, a place from which to view everything else. It's extraordinary. I'd rather hear it here than any place else. Baruch hamakom, we say. Baruch hamakom. Blessed, transcendent, overflowing is the place. When we say place, we mean God, but we also mean place. One of the extraordinary moments of rabbinic imagination was calling God Hamakom, a stand-in for the temple, a stand-in for the Kadosh, God also called Kadosh, the holy place, the place where holiness takes place. And once the temple was destroyed, and once we created for ourselves places, we always invoked the place, Baruch Hamakom, God being called the place, wherever the place might be, for whatever might take place. And in Hebrew, the idiom is the same as in English, to take place, lehitkayem. Ha-chatuna titkayem, the wedding will take place. Where's it going to take place? It's going to take place in a chosen place, but if it wasn't that place, it would be another. However, that place helps to shape whatever it is that's going to happen. It takes a certain place to get the kind of resonance of which I speak, and that you can hear when we sing. And we'll hear it again a little bit later when we get finally to sing Avinu Malkeinu, finally together. You'll hear what I mean. I have my places staked out here. I have my favorite places. And I'm about to tell you where my favorite place is, but I've never told anyone this before. There is a piece of molding on the floor, just in front of the gate on that side. And to me, it looks very much like waves. It looks like it has movement to it. You'll see if you come up. And if you don't come up, you'll come up another time. But that's a place inside this place that holds something that is extremely beautiful and natural. This timber, this paneling, this is honest. This is real. This isn't fabricated. It's not artificial. And that spot shows that there is a kind of artistic placement of even something at the level of the molding that holds or offers or releases, unleashes a spirit. Baruch HaMakom, Baruch HaMakom, Baruch HaMakom, Baruch HaMakom. Something can be perfect even in a world that's not so perfect. We say HaMakom several times, nodding, bowing to worlds that are not perfect. HaMakom Yinachem. May the place help us to comfort. May the place offer comfort. May God offer comfort? Yes. But how about the place where the Shiva happens? How about the place where the funeral happens? How about the place where the loss took place? How about the workplace the next day after the Shiva when one goes back to work? Baruch HaMakom, HaMakom Yinachem. Let the place overflow. Let the place offer its own blessing. We also say, HaMakom Yimaleh Chesroncha. We don't say it often, but this is a sentiment of the Talmud. If one loses property, if one's life is ravaged, may the place restore your loss. We live in a world where we could nod to Puerto Rico, we could add to our list stateside locations of devastation. Hamakom Yimaleh Chesroncha. May the place, the people who gather there, who take their place, help to alleviate the suffering. Take a look at something that's perfect and perfectly beautiful in the world, honestly, right on the foot, right where the floor meets the wall. And see it as being a place where worlds join and where the floor meets that which rises, that which is as low as it can be meets that which starts to rise. And act accordingly once the holiday is over. There are places that need our help so that holiness can take place there. Holiness takes place here. Something that is special that can't be captured any other place takes place here now in this configuration for the very last time. And I'm remembering times well before this. There is some vast number of years between my second and third year here and now, and I don't know how to name them. I know how to say my second year, I know how to say my third year, I know how to say my first year, I know how to say to Cantor Myers, to Eric, what does the synagogue actually look like? What does the sanctuary look like? I couldn't wait to see it. And he was bringing me over for the very first time in April of 1978, and he said, it's lovely, it's simple and it's lovely. And I walked in and I found it to be so. It's simple and it's lovely. And then a few months ago, Renee Snyderman identified it as being honest, the architecture as being honest, a word that I used before. Simple and honest and lovely. And so it is, and so it has been, and it has embraced me, and it's given me a place to take place and to unfold and experience bracha and nichun and not only blessing and not only comfort, but also a sense of restoration that comes when restoration is needed. I remember a story that I read for the first time in the 7th grade, a story by David Frischman called Shlosha She'achlu, 3 who ate. It's an extraordinary story. I won't tell it to you now, but I will tell you that it's set in a synagogue in Poland in the 19th century, and the scene is Kol Nidre, and there are candles that are lighting everything. There is, of course, no other way of lighting. And Frischman described, as I remember it, and as I saw it again just recently, he described the shadows on the wall, and the shadows being not only the shadows of those people who were living and praying, but the shadows of those who had lived once and had prayed once in that place. That image stayed with me, and I wanted to recreate it. And I suggested that we have a table in front of the ark with memorial candles, and that before we said Kol Nidre, before we heard Kol Nidre, that those people who are in the Kaddish circle, let's say, for the year, come up and light candles. And in order to accentuate that, that we dim the lights, that we turn out the lights, because we could do it, after all. And so we did, starting in the 2nd year that I was here. We started to light memorial candles. If you thought that was forever and you thought it was everywhere, no. Perhaps you've been other places of late and you know it's not everywhere, but it's also not forever. I remember wanting to see people dressed in white. I remember wanting to see the presidents of the synagogue who came up and ably, faithfully took the Sifrei Torah for a procession, during which we would sing, Or Zaru ala Tzadik, light is sown for the righteous. Doesn't that make it extraordinary and wonderful to have candles lit up here, as though it had always been so, but it really hadn't? And I remember I called Will Williman, who was the dean of the chapel at Duke, and I said to Will, do you have any white robes that I could borrow? And he said, we have about 20 albs, if you want them. These monks' robes. And I backed my car up to the chapel and started to take these robes out. And I remember somebody walked past and said, oh, is the chapel having a going out of business sale? And I said, no, it's not, but it's almost Yom Kippur. Oh, that made sense. The next year, I asked Elaine Becker, who lived in the house right across the street on Green Street, the corner of Green and Watts. She was a seamstress, and I asked her if she would make some robes. Could I commission her to make some robes? And I went to the piece goods store and bought a pattern and brought it to her, and she made 20 robes, and these are the same robes that we're wearing to this day. That wearing robes and officiants wearing robes on the bima, that wasn't a forever and always either. So here we have candles that are burning down. This is our way of letting this place, not only Baruch HaMakom, but also HaMakom Yinachem. This is the way that the place itself offers us some kind of special comfort. We have gates. This is not an architectural feature of every single synagogue in the world, but we have gates, and why not open them? I remember thinking, this is an extraordinary metaphor. This is where the meta meets the fore, folks. This is the place where it is both real and also not. It is where the floor and the walls join. This is where everything is and everything takes place and is a real place and is a place also in here. And then we started to have the children open up those gates and leave them open for the entire space of time between the opening of the gates and the Ilat She'arim, the closing of the gates. And soon after that, a chair of Elijah appeared. Actually, the truth is, it might have been the very same year, and that was spurred on by a gift to the synagogue given by Elijah the prophet, by Eliyahu HaNavi, a story that I can tell you another time. And that talit is the talit that was given to the synagogue by Eliyahu HaNavi. And now, from the beginning of the month of Elul all the way through to the end of the holidays, the gates stay open, the chair sits there, The tallis is there for people to wear or to sit upon. There is a shofar that accompanies it, and people can come in for their own moments of private time, or else they can summon up an image of something that they have seen in the synagogue. My last story about the gates and the place is the hakafah that will soon take place. Who better to be the stewards of closing the year, of ending and beginning, of ending a time where we're wearing our shrouds, as it were, and the time when we throw them off and eat and begin a new year. We no longer imitate mourners or the dead by not eating, by no creature comforts. We no longer imitate them by wearing white and by becoming really more spirit than flesh. We throw off all of that and we eat again. And who better to mark that moment at the gates, opening and closing, than those people who help shepherd and steward us through moments when we need the place to restore us, to restore our losses, to comfort us, and to show bracha. And we added a hakafah that we will soon see. Members of the Chevra Kadisha, the burial society, will come forward. They will take the Sifrei Torah, and they will lead us into a new year. Next year, this will take place in a different place. It will be more theatrical, in a sense. I invite you to join me in watching, in imagining, in observing how it is that we react to what is reconstituted, to what takes place in a way that feels so familiar and yet will be different. And then the next year, what an extraordinary trajectory this will be. Because the next year, we will be back here and it will be the same, different, yes. It will be the same and it will be different and it will take place and there will be fulfillment and there will be blessing and there will be comfort. Hamakom yimaleh chesroncha. May this place be a place that helps us understand that there are things that are perfect in the world and capture us in our imagination, and things that are awful in the world that capture us in our imagination. And we are bound and required to honor both of those and to respond appropriately. We learn that in this place where the floor meets the wall. Hamakom yinachem. And may the place offer comfort, and may we be there always to offer comfort. And perhaps, above all, la'ela ula'ela, baruch hamakom. May the place be blessed, and may we see it as overflowing and transcendent. Chatima tova.